All right, welcome back to the Unwritten Rule, the Payton and Jack Show. As promised, the South Carolina recap. Mizzou beat South Carolina 29-20 to claim the Mayor's Cup. Heck of a game. Missouri able to outscore South Carolina 11-0 in the fourth quarter, weathered a Lenora Sellers storm. I put him in my winners tonight, Payton. 18 for 28, 302 yards, 2 touchdowns. Man, oh man, I think, if you're Rickson Lane or any of the South Carolina, faithful, and we had a good interview with him previewing this game over there from Believe in South Carolina. I think if you're him or anyone else, the calls probably get Lenora Sellers some darn help because he did not have it. Even though he was doing his thing. I think, Peyton, you and I are both kind of consensus. He is, the best quarterback probably in the SEC, maybe the best quarterback draft candidate in the country. And I say all that because I think it's significant to what Mizzou was able to do to limit everything else around him and to play against a guy like that and win. I think that is significant because he's a guy with a ton of talent, but obviously South Carolina didn't have enough in the tank around him. -9 rushing yards. I'll let you talk more about that. They were banged up on their offensive line too. I think their center got hurt. I think their right tackle might have been injured or got injured as well. So they were banged up, but Missouri, a win. They're now 4-0 in SEC play. It was a heck of a game. I'll breeze through, I guess, the scoring summary quickly. First quarter was a 99-yard drive, 3 99-yard drives, Peyton, in the season. I noted that down for Mizzou already.
That wound up being the second quarter, but it did start the first quarter.
You're right. Yeah, sorry. I guess it ended in the drive ended with the touchdown the second quarter. Kansas answered with a touchdown. Missouri missed the extra point. Robert Meyer doinked it, so it was 6-7. And then Kansas got a field goal, made it 9-7.
South Carolina.
Did I say Kansas? South Carolina. They went up 14 to 6, and then Mizzou made it 14-12, and kind of took over from there in the third quarter. Made it 18-17 with an Ahmad Hardy run. Jamal Roberts scored to make it 26-20, and then Robert Meyer, the clutch gene, icing the game to make it 29-20. I'm just going to flow right into winners, Peyton. That's how we've talked about these kind of games from a broader perspective. Winners for Mizzou. I will start with the lone special. I think you got to give Robert Meyer in the winners category. He makes up for a doinked extra point as a true freshman in an SEC game, being called upon to make a 40-yard field goal, which Drinkwitz, they literally said on the broadcast. I don't know if you had the audio on when you were watching, but they literally said they were going to use Robbins, the other guy, for kicks outside of the 20-yard line, and they were going to use Robert Meyer for anything within the 20-yard line. That was what the broadcast was regurgitating. I don't know. I didn't see Drinkwitz, say that any time during the week. The broadcast was also saying, Peyton, that Sam Horn won the quarterback job and then got hurt, and then Bo Perbula took over. So, they not quite how it shook out there either. But Peyton, I had Robert Meyer in the winners. I think I lost my train of thought. Peyton's mic came unplugged. You paused it. I'm gonna just call out your error. We're at that time of the evening.
Real
not
professional operation we got going here.
Tech error. It was, it happens. But Peyton, I think we could talk about the good and the bad with the special teams because, as you said right before we jumped on and started recording, that Mizzou is still a team in the SEC with a 4-0 record that is still doing drop kicks on kickoffs. But Robert Meyer, I think, has to go in the winner for the clutch kick at the end there. He's my first winner.
Yeah, obviously good for Robert Meyer. That was sorely needed, not just for this game, even though that definitely iced it. I mean, for this season, you need to. There's going to be a time where Robert Meyer is going to need to possibly make a game-winning or game-tying kick. And I'll be honest, I had zero faith in him up until the moment that kick went through the uprights. The missed extra point completely changed the flow of the game. Again, that's the second time we've seen a missed extra point kind of lead to a huge momentum shift. The first one obviously being Kansas. Then Mizzou kind of felt the need to point chase. They went for two twice, didn't get it the first time. The second time they did get it with a real slick play call. I loved Kirby Moore in this game, especially in the second half. But we'll get to that later. But no, you're absolutely right. I do think he has to be a winner. The team mobbed him after he made that kick. It iced the game. It iced a game that I think was really. I don't know how it was a true 10.5 point game. I guess Missouri did win by 9, but this will kind of bleed off topic. But I mean, Lenora Sellers tonight was clearly the most talented player on the field, and he plays the most important position in sports. I'm never going to take the line against a team that has that going for them, really. And he proved it tonight. But I mean, credit where credit is due. Robert Meyer, absolutely. I mean, it was like had plenty of leg too, and it was right down the middle. So there was no stress about it. Like once it was up in the air, it looked good all the way. So that was massive for him, and I think the season for him to make that kick.
Yeah, big for Robert Meyer. I thought big for Mizzou. Rolling off of that with some other winners in the game tonight offensively, Payton. I'm going to lump a bunch of these guys in together. I don't know where you stand on this, but for me, given how the game ended up shaking out, I'm inclined to throw, and obviously I think you throw the running back room again with Jamal Roberts, 13 for 76 and a touchdown, and of course Ahmad Hardy, 22 138 and a touchdown. Bo Perbula was good with his legs, 9 for 72. I think all three of them are winners. Maybe Bo, if you're just applying the running game, because I think there was some mixed bag stuff passing. But then the other guy I kind of want to lump in there, Payton, is Jayven Richardson. I mean, for Cayden Green, he comes in, at left tackle. It's a difficult position to play. You're replacing a guy who is so highly touted. And, I don't remember him doing anything extraordinary, but we never heard his name called in a negative way, giving up a big sack or a penalty call. I thought he stepped up to the task against a somewhat scary South Carolina pass rush and helped open up the Mizzou rushing attack in particular. So I'll throw him in along with Hardy, Roberts, and Perbula, and what Mizzou did on the ground once again today.
Yeah, I think you can take somewhat scary out of it. I mean, when you have when you have Dylan Stewart staring you down across the other side and you've got a backup tackle in there, that's scary. Like you said, I mean, we didn't even get to cover this because it was so sudden. Cayden Green, obviously a surprise pop up on the the injury report on Wednesday.
That's right. We were already done with our show and recorded by the time it was confirmed he was out. That's right.
He goes from probable one day after just randomly appearing to out the next. Drinkwitz did say after the game, by the way, his injury isn't season ending. He said it could be 3 weeks, could be 5 weeks, according to Callum McAndrew, friend of the show, of course. So that's good. Obviously, you don't want to lose Cayden Green for the year. But you're absolutely right, Knowlton. I think Jayven Richardson more than held his own. I mean, there was only one sack today from the South Carolina defense, and it did not come from Dylan Stewart. It was a great job for Jayven Richardson. I mean, you also got to look at like this. I mean, Missouri is a wide zone team. That is their bread and butter. That is their identity. It has been who they are every year under Drinkwitz. That's their offensive identity. They ran the ball 48 times tonight, 48 rushing attempts total against just 27 pass attempts. And they had 285 yards. Wide zone, you need good tackles. Your tackles need to be very good in the run game when you're running wide zone. So credit to Jayven Richardson. I am very curious what PFF says about his performance because I wasn't listening to the broadcast, but I never noticed him just get flat out beat or worked at any point tonight.
I'm tempted to save this for Sunday, and maybe I'll rebring it up because we could hear Kenny's take as well. Maybe you'll have a more developed take on it. Are we building the Ahmad Hardy best running back in the country case? Because
I don't think this needs to be built. I think it is truly. I don't know that there's an argument. Who in the world? If you ask any team in the country right now, other than Notre Dame, okay, I'll give Jeremiah Love the benefit of the doubt. Ask any other team that's not Notre Dame right now, would you trade your starting running back for Ahmad Hardy? I think you absolutely would get a yes from everybody. I mean, look, Ahmad Hardy, his one drawback is he does not have high-end speed. He's definitely not going to blow anybody away with his 40 time once he gets to the combine. There were a couple times tonight though where his first big run of the game. I don't remember the exact number, but I believe it was on Mizzou's first scoring drive. Even, he just took a wallop of a hit from I believe a linebacker, and he just bounced off him like a pinball. I mean, literally it was just like a little speed bump, and he just took off for. I've never seen the contact balance. Like it's almost like Luther Burden-esque in a truck of a running back.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable to watch.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, that you look at the touchdown run he had where he quite literally like turned horizontally over a guy, like his back was to the end zone. There was a screenshot I saw where you literally can't see him in the pile, and he just emerges from it and gets the touchdown. I think you're right.
I believe it was this play that I was talking about, the 2nd and 7 on their own 36. Like he bounced off a tackle and ran for 27 yards.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I think you're right. I think, if at the very least the case is being very strongly built. And I think the PFF numbers, when you talk about those, will reflect on that. We'll talk about that Sunday. But another big winner. I mean, there was a feeling, I remember saying at a certain point, it felt like the run game got a little bit stalled at a certain point, and they still end up finishing with 285 yards and 2 touchdowns. There was a chunk of that game where it felt like South Carolina kind of figured it out, and it just came roaring back to life. And Jamal Robertson, Hardy, and the O-line deserve a ton of credit for that.
It wasn't all perfect. Certainly, it felt like there was a lot of inside zone, which I found interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a scout. I think Missouri probably had. They tried to run. It felt like between the tackles a lot more than I'm used to, and it didn't really go as well as I think they were probably hoping. Because again, that's just not who this team is. Like you said, it wasn't perfect, especially inside the 10. They settled for 2 goal-to-go field goals. I was getting real worried about that. I don't think they could have afforded another one of those against Lenore Sellers tonight. But they got it done. I thought Kirby called an excellent second half. And quite frankly, even when it wasn't working perfectly. I mean, when you run the ball 48 times like that, you are just wearing that defense out. And that's clearly what Drinkwitz is kind of wanting to do at this point. And it paid off. I mean, they just kept chipping away, and eventually they broke through, got some really crucial runs when they really needed it. I mean, the Bo Perbula, it led to like some good fakes in that second half. I mean, not even with just throwing the ball. I mean, Bo Perbula, that fake bootleg.
The dummy rollout was great.
Yeah, was unbelievably sick. That was perfectly timed. I mean, they just rattled South Carolina. To me, that's really where I think this game, the difference was made. Missouri, 48 runs for 285 yards. South Carolina, 22 runs for -9 yards. That, of course, includes 10 run attempts for -28 yards, which includes the 5 sacks for Mizzou. Great day for Missouri's pass rush, by the way. That was really encouraging. 8 tackles for loss. I mean, you look at their 2 Power 4 games. The other one was Kansas. I got to find that. I mean, it was a crazy mismatch in that one as well.
I think they had like 6 yards.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it quick. Yeah, it was net yards rushing was 31 for Kansas in that game.
Yeah.
Which is just absurd, to 261. It was even bigger in this one. Faisan, who, I mean, like, that's who, like, people were so high on Rasul Faisan.
He's a 7th-year senior. I mean, that guy knows how to play. Mm-hmm. Like, it's, that's not a true freshman.
6 attempts for 5 yards and a long run of 2. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Look, we knew coming into this game, South Carolina had not been running the ball well. I don't think they were ever going to try and really run the ball well, but and credit to Sellers, he really made it so that they didn't have to get a run game going very much. But I will say by the end of the game, when it did make South Carolina very one-dimensional, and when Missouri kind of patched the holes finally in the secondary, which is something I'm sure we'll talk about, they tightened up in that fourth quarter. They had 3 huge drives where they had to stop that offense at the end of the game. South Carolina had no threat of running. They keyed in on Sellers, and they were able to close the deal.
Yeah, I think, let's lump the whole defensive line in as a winner. I would like to talk about them more when the PFF grades come out, because I think
Mhm.
that's when you can single some guys out. But just highlighting a few individual stats. I mean, Zion Young, 3 tackles. He had one of the Sellers sacks, 2 TFLs, 2 quarterback hits. Chris McClellan was good, 2 tackles, half a sack, and half a tackle for loss on said sack. Damon Wilson was somewhat quiet, and still it felt like it was somewhat quiet and still had a tackle and half a sack. So yeah, I think they were
probably a pass rush. I'm sure he had plenty of pressures. It felt like Mizzou had a guy running free at at Sellers often. I mean, look at that. Darius Smith with 2 QB hits. It was a great day for the D line.
Yeah, and I think you're right. South Carolina never felt like a threat of running. My last 2 offensive winners are 2 of the receivers. I think I have to give it to Josh Manning. He had the 1 touchdown, 3 catches for 36 yards. And then Marquise Johnson, unlucky to not score after he made that one-handed catch. It was a shoestring tackle that kept him from sprinting up the sidelines. 7 catches for 80 yards. He had like I just mentioned, the spear, which is a good way to describe that, to go up and snag it. And Payton, while I think those 2 stood out for me today, there was something that you said that I noted during the game as well, which is that Beau Pribula has an incredible amount of trust up and down this receiver core. And I think, to me, when you want to replace guys like Luther Burden and Theo Weiss and the impact they had, this was the only way probably Mizzou could do it and still have good production in the pass game, was that Beau Pribula. Yes, sometimes it's just going to be Kevin Coleman's night. And tonight wasn't that. And they were still able to get the win because Marquise Johnson stepped up. Josh Manning is always an option. Brett Norfleet did his thing. He had 3 catches for 35 yards. You have Donovan Olubade, who I know was targeted a few times. I don't think he didn't have a catch, but it just feels like this room has a lot of depth, and Pribula's trust in that feels so big. But for me, I thought Johnson and Manning were the 2 standouts for my last offensive winners.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, a mixed bag for Pribula throwing the ball. The interception, given the time of the game, like Faroe was absolutely amped out of its mind. You have the ball in plus territory, a chance to go up 2 possessions into half. I mean, he just it felt like predetermined where he was going with that ball, didn't really take a look, and just threw a brutal interception. But I mean, like you said, I mean, he is just fearless throwing the football. I mean, he's very quick and decisive. I thought tonight there you saw a lot of one read and run, which I think is perfectly fine to do with Beau Pribula. Because I mean, this is his first year being a full-time starting quarterback, and he's doing it in the SEC. It's not going to be built overnight. He had some awesome scrambles after he realized everything was covered up. For the most part, I thought he did a good job of extending the play and just ditching the ball instead of taking a sack. In fact, the 1 sack, I remember it now, was when he just forgot to do it and just ran out of bounds on accident. So I was happy, and I was pretty okay with Pribula. I mean, that last drive of the first half in particular, where they went and got the field goal, I mean, he threw like 3 50-50 balls in a row. And Marquise Johnson, I thought he had one of his best days as like a true receiver instead of just being the, hey, I'm open 50 yards downfield guy. That catch was ridiculous. He had a really nice 50-50 catch on a jump ball in the first half. I was very happy for the most part. Not very happy. Beau Pribula did only throw the ball 6 times in the second half, which is fine because, again, this is who we thought Missouri would be coming into the year, and it's what they are trying to be all the time. Like just throughout Drinkwitz's tenure, they want to run the ball. Like they want to just wear you out and win fourth quarters that way. I do think we've talked a lot about the 1-score wins. This wasn't a 1-score win. It was barely a 2-score win. So technically it doesn't apply here, but there is an element of luck to winning 1-score games, but you watch the way Missouri plays and you kind of understand why they're so good in 1 games. They wear teams out. They keep let's be honest, Brady Cook, I'm obviously a big fan of his. He accomplished a lot for the university. he was a very limited quarterback. I think Bo Perbula is not Superman. I think he right now as a passer is still like coming along. So when you have a run game like this that just wears a team out, doesn't really need to rely on this quick strike passing offense, I think it really does have a mental effect on a team. It wears them out. Um, and it just is, it gets to the point where the other teams aren't in a position to finish, and Missouri is. It's interesting to just look at as a whole. Bo Perbula, eventually he's going to come into a situation where he's going to have to drop back and pass to keep Missouri in a game or win Missouri a game. Didn't have to do that tonight, but like you said, clearly a lot of trust in his receivers. He only had 4 receivers catch a pass tonight, but it's clear he really, really trusts Marquise Johnson in particular. He will just whip it over in his direction and believe he's going to come down with it.
Yeah, and I'm almost fine with that, especially as a first year starting quarterback, like you said, where you just have that. It's a guy who isn't afraid to just whip it to a receiver, whereas someone who, if he doesn't have all the trust, you're already nervous making decisions. What could happen in those games where he is going to be forced to pass and make big throws to put Missouri in a position to win. So yeah, I thought he was fine. I thought those receivers were all good, and that was big. And then on defense, we obviously mentioned the D-line as a whole. I think you could pick any one of those guys. My other winners, Josiah Trotter again. He led this team in tackles. He had 11. He had the tackle for a loss, 2 QB hits. He had the one dumb taunting penalty. Is what it is. I don't mind players getting a penalty for, getting animated in a game. The guy's just a wrecker. I think he likes to hit people. I think he's good in the run defense, and he can also rush the passer when he's called upon. Didn't love him in coverage. That was less of a him thing and more of a maybe Missouri needs to figure that out thing, and we'll get into the losers in just a second. But he was my A1 on defense today. And then sticking in the linebacker room, Payton, I thought Nick Rodriguez had a great game. 5 tackles, had a sack, tackle for loss, 2 pass breakups. Should have maybe had an interception in the first half on Sellers, who threw it like basically right to him. I think on their like very first drive. That was good to see. I know he's someone whose PFF numbers haven't looked the best. So those are my 2 big winners from that defensive room, other than the D-line.
Yeah, Trotter, he's a blast to watch, man. There's no other way to put it. He is just he's around the ball all the freaking time. It really is ridiculous. I thought the front 7 I thought was pretty good for the most part. And look, Trotter on a linebacker, or like when he has to go in as a linebacker, when he has to drop into coverage, it is what it is. Sometimes linebackers that aren't good in pass coverage are going to have to cover. You can complain about the scheme all you want for that. It's going to happen sometimes when you want to bring a blitz, which I thought Batoon had some nice opportunistic blitz calls that just didn't fall his way. And more often than not got really punished by Sellers. Look, I'm not going to beat on the defense too hard. They really tightened up when they needed to, and they held, really, in my mind, the most talented quarterback maybe in the country to 20 points. Sellers was ridiculous tonight. There's just no other way to put it. He was an absolute wrecking ball out there. I am so happy they probably never have to play him again. I am so tired of it.
Yeah, I mean, unless he continues to get no help and transfers to a better program because he just needs a year.
I don't want him to. I don't want to see him play Missouri. And look, there were bad moments in this game from the defense, but bottom line, they made not 1, not 2, but 3 really big stops at the end of the game. And I think that's more of my takeaway. There's things to fix. That's a really good thing. I mean, look, Missouri, I'm gonna say it. Missouri is not gonna lose to UMass next week. And you're going to get a bye week after that. And you have things to fix, and you're almost certainly going in there 5-0. You can get Cayden Green healthy, somehow patch those holes up in the secondary that are clearly leaking right now. But like you said, Trotter, when he has to cover a guy, it is what it is. You kind of just have to hope the blitz gets home. But I thought he had an excellent game otherwise.
Yeah, I think he was great. I think shout out deserves to go to Nick Rodriguez. as well. And then, I mean, I'll just double down on that. I think we'll look at more with the PFF grades. This secondary is still scaring me a good bit. I mean, this is a South Carolina team who they were more talented than Kansas. I don't think they really had a standout receiver. And yes, they had the best player on the field, maybe the best player in the entire country, at least from an NFL draft potential standpoint. But they, they still let, they still got dotted up there in the secondary. Jalen Catalon in particular, I hate to call him out, but there were two big plays where he was just lost in zone coverage, and it was not good. It led to big plays for South Carolina. And you look at the stats, Payton. I mean, the South Carolina had 293 yards of offense, and 300 of those yards were passing yards because of the negative rushing plays. So the secondary is scary. And the other thing too, I know they were playing with a backup for a little bit because Dre Norwood, I think, missed some time. He got knocked out with an injury. It was like not out of the game, but he had to, spend more time on the sideline than they wanted. He had to go to the medical tent at one point, I think.
Yeah, that's just kind of been the thing, really the last 2 years. It's like Missouri's defense is either really dominant or giving up a 70-yard touchdown. That's just kind of what it's felt like. I do agree with you. I've been pretty perplexed by how Catalan's played. It has not been pretty this year, especially for a guy that's been in college forever and played high-level football more often than not. There's just something clearly not syncing up there right now between him and the cornerback room. They got to get it fixed because it does not get close to easier from here. I mean, your next real game, because no offense, UMass, it's not a real game. Alabama is the next one. They have Ryan Williams. So there's no days off. I mean, Nick Harbor, Rickson kind of touched on it too. It's kind of been the thing with him. He is more of a track athlete than a true receiver, but he beat them on that 4th and 37. Jacobs had an unreal game. He was awesome tonight. And a lot of that had to do with Sellers just throwing some dimes all over the field. But it is what it is. They were able to at least do just enough at the end of the game to not make it a big issue, but it will continue. There's a few things that need to be fixed. Number one, I think Meyer needs to continue to be a more stable kicker for them, and the special teams in general needs to get better. Number two, I think obviously the secondary has to be better. Otherwise, that it's going to cost them a game at some point.
Yeah,
and it very well could be Alabama.
Yeah, I don't think Ty Simpson and Jackson Arnold blow you away as quarterbacks, but you have Ryan Williams, Cam Coleman
Simpson's
did some
been real good lately. So.
Yeah. And you mentioned Williams. Cam Coleman is a freak for Auburn. That guy's going to be scary to guard. Oklahoma doesn't have anyone. I think that guy R. Mason Thomas. I might be mixing up what side of the ball he's.
Mateer's a good quarterback,
and then it's Mateer who's the Heisman leader. Like you look at some of those games, A&M's got good players, so. Yeah, that part definitely needs to get fixed. But yeah, overall, it didn't end up mattering. I think Missouri, proved they were the better team, and absolutely dominated South Carolina in the run, in the run game and at the line of scrimmage, which continues to be the theme for how Mizzou is winning games. And I think that's going to get them real far as they look to kind of cover some of those issues. And yeah, I think it's big, especially in a league like the SEC where it's all about how good you are in the trenches. I think Missouri has shown now against Kansas and against South Carolina that they are a legit team there that needs to be beaten in that way, or at least punished more than teams have been able to do in the run game. And I think it's a good thing for Mizzou to hang their hat on. And it was an entertaining watch. Interesting penalty calls at times. South Carolina had a ton of them. That was another thing. I think Missouri being the more disciplined team is a very refreshing thing. I feel like we've come on here in years past and ranted and raved in a negative way about Mizzou penalty issues, but
even last year it was an issue early on.
Yeah, and I think that they were the better team in that regard today. So overall, I think a really productive win. And yeah, we'll talk Sunday. Or I guess you'll listen to it Monday when we get the PFF numbers. It'll be interesting to see some of the numbers behind it and what we can identify as they head to prepare as they head into the UMass week and further beyond that. But Mizzou is undefeated, 4-0, 1-0 in conference play. Any quick final thoughts from you, Payton, before we set things off? You can go. We can go. I know you need to eat, my friend. You've had a busy day, and
long day.
we can go enjoy some Pac-12 after dark. If
yes.
I can still call it that.
Not really. No, I mean, obviously, after the way last season ended, it was very, very bitter. It feels pretty good to get this one back. I'm sure Drink and Co., especially the guys that were there last year, really agree. That's one that you don't overlook. Again, I think the line be damned. I think South Carolina's a really good team still. I think Lenore Sellers, he won't win the Heisman. I think he's talented enough to win the Heisman. I really do think maybe he's second. I feel like Sellers was the best quarterback Missouri was going to face this year. I don't think anybody else is going to make plays like Sellers did last year. There's still good quarterbacks on the schedule. Don't get me wrong. Mateer is ridiculous. Reed is a playmaker.
Jackson Arnold looks better at Auburn.
Arnold looks better.
Simpson's good.
Simpson has been a lot better, so it doesn't get that much easier.
So Diego Pavia. We have to just say Diego Pavia's name now.
Obviously. I mean, Vanderbilt is scary.
Don't forget that. Yeah, Vanderbilt's scary. They won by
believe me, I take Vanderbilt completely serious this year. That is
we are not overlooking. We are not
overlooking. But I really think it's possible Missouri just played the best player they're gonna play all year. And they got through it with a win.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Sellers is talented. I was trying to think of a good basketball analogy for him, like where all I was thinking of trying to put, I don't know why I was putting a South Carolina hat on at times, but at times I was just trying to look at the game from a wider lens. I was like, man, this guy needs some darn help. If it's like LeBron on like the 2018 Cavs, it's like he can only drag him so far. He needs someone to step up, someone else to get positive rushing yards. I don't know. But yeah, big win for Mizzou. They defeat South Carolina 29-20. They improved to 4-0 on the year. They will play UMass next week. All three members of the Unwritten Rule will be at said game. Go read Kenny and Kyle's stuff. Oh, I had a quick update, Payton. Kyle Makarevich wrote a story on Mizzou today. Drinkwitz did give an update on Cayden Green. I'll just read the quote. Cayden got into
I mentioned that earlier.
Did you say he was out 3 to 5? He might be out 3 to 5.
Yeah, Callum had tweeted it, so I read that out.
Sorry, it's my 10:30, 11 p.m. brain, and I blocked that from my memory. I apologize. I memory hold your quote. So yeah, brief Cayden Green update as well. All right, we will be back Monday. With some PFF numbers from the game. We'll break it down a little bit further. I want to get Kenny's thought about the atmosphere too, because it sounded really loud again there. And especially with this game being a rivalry, I want to hear how that was. That he viewed it from the press box. So that'll be good. So go enjoy the win, Mizzou fans. And we will see you very shortly with all three members back on the program on Monday.